vlog number 1 week out from rim to rim Grand Canyon hike. Just prepping some of my gear, going over all the materials that I'm going to be using on the trip. First time I've ever done this, so a little bit of a learning curve, but should be fun. So I'm going to put the tent and just fold it up square, put it in the bottom portion of the pack. So you got the top right up here, and then I'm just going to put it in the bottom here. And rather than putting it in this bag here that it typically goes in, along with the tent stakes and the tent poles, I'm going to instead, where is the tent stakes? So I think the tent stakes can actually fit in here, so I'm going to put the tent stakes in there, and then just use this bag here to actually put like food stuff that I don't want to get wet or whatever inside of there, or it'd just be a nice way to like pack that. I could maybe even throw some clothes in there as well, kind of dual purpose it. And then with this, I can just put, drop the pen there, I can just put this down the side in this little, put it in this little pouch here. And then, so yeah, I can put it in this little pouch here. And then use the straps along the side of the backpack to tie it in. And that way I'm not taking up space on the inside of the pack. So I'm assuming that the ground's going to be pretty hard in the Grand Canyon here at the camping sites. And so I got a little foam pad to put underneath my sleeping bag to keep me nice and cool, but it takes up a little bit of space, so I'm just strapping it to the bottom part of my pack here instead of sticking it actually in the inside of the pack. So this actually works out pretty good, having those straps on there. Okay, so the next piece that I'm going to be packing in is going to be the actual sleeping bag. I think this is a Celtic Cosmic or Galactic, so down to 30 degrees. I shouldn't need that because where I'm going to be down to that temperature, because where I'm going to be camping is actually going to be probably about 70 degrees for the low temperature, and it's going to be quite hot during the day. So I'll probably just lay on top of it or something like that, and you know, just try to stay cooler or whatnot. So anyway, that's going to go in next, all the way down in the bottom of the pack. Okay, so the next step would actually be putting in my hydration pack, or it's kind of like a Camel back for extra water storage on the hike. So I'm going to have a couple of bottles. Since this hike, I'm going to be hiking out in the desert, and they recommend about 6 liters of water per day. So I have about 4 liters worth in between my 2 water bottles, and then another 2 to 3 liters. How much is this one? So anyway, my Camel back here. Yes, 2 liter hydration pack. And so in my backpack, there's actually a little like partition on the back side of it where you can slide this in there. And so when I actually go and do the hike, that will be probably one of the first things that goes into the pack after I put in like the tent and all that kind of stuff. And then everything will get packed in on top of it. Okay, so here's my hydration reservoir, Camelback here. It's kind of what it looks like out of the package. Haven't taken it out yet. We'll need to test that out, wash it out, and everything as well to get rid of some of the chemicals from the factory stuff. And I guess at this time it might be a good time to talk about electrolytes as well. So actually, instead of going and getting one of the more traditional like types of electrolytes like LMNT or the element type electrolytes and whatnot, I got my own stuff. So if I'm going through customs or whatever, they think I'm have like cocaine here or something like that. But no, this is actually fasting salts. So I got this for a fraction of the price. It has a lot more sodium, a lot more potassium. It also has magnesium and phosphorus included in here as well. So I took last weekend, did a little bit of research on that. And since it is so much of it, I only had to put in 2 scoops, and that'll give me about 4 days worth of electrolytes between the 2 scoops, because I think it's like 4,000 milligrams of sodium and like 3,000 milligrams potassium in each scoop. Sunglasses here. I've got my clothing in this bag. Underneath that, I have the sleeping bag. On top of this, I'm gonna have to stuff in all the food that I'm gonna be carrying. So probably not going to need a whole lot. You know, I'm going to be doing this a little more unorthodox than the average hiker, just because this is a fitness channel. I tend to also be a little bit more particular about what I eat. I found certain things that kind of help me. In the past, I had jobs where I did a lot of manual labor working outside. So the first day of this hike, I'm going to be doing about 14 miles of hiking. And for a couple years, I would have it like 5 days a week where I would be lifting moderately heavy stuff while walking 13 miles every day. And I'd be out there, you know, in the snow in the wintertime, you know, anywhere from like, you know, 30 degrees down to, you know, teens -0, and everything. And then in the summer, you have, you know, mid to high 90s and high humidity as well. And so I got pretty used to knowing what I would need to be able to go long periods and stuff like that. So I recently started finding that, you know, beef sticks as well. So I got some, because of the sodium in those, as well as like the iron, and red meat just helps me feel strong anyway. So I'm going to be bringing some of that for my protein. I'll probably bring a couple cans of tuna, bring some dried oats, maybe some protein powder. I'll be bringing some like nuts, dried fruit. And then what was the other things? I might, that's probably, I might bring some like tortillas or something like that. But I typically don't eat that much of that stuff anyway. I tend to have a more high fat diet just because of some of my dietary restrictions. And then when I'm down in Arizona, I'll probably stop at a grocery store before I do the hike, pick up some more perishable type stuff, store them in the refrigerator at the hotel before I go. So hopefully I can get some cucumbers. I found out a couple years ago when we were in the Badlands in the Dakotas, and it was about 105 degrees after we did a hike, that was very beneficial. It's very, very beneficial to have those cucumbers. Very refreshing after being in the heat, and they actually help to hydrate you better. Maybe bring some apples or something like that as well. And then, you know, like I talked about, the nuts, salted stuff would be good and everything. And nuts have, when you're fat adapted too, you have like plenty of fat there as well. So a lot of high octane fuel to really power through on this hike. So that's what I'm going to be putting in that top part there. Okay, so the next piece of my gear is going to be the cook set. So I'm going to take, I have this little stove here. It's very compact actually. So I just need to get like the propane or whatever, or the camp fuel for it. I have my utensils here, so just plastic stuff here, that I can put in this little cup. Little cup has a nice little handles on it so that you can hold it, grab stuff off the, off the fire. If you need to have, you could even attach like a stick or something like that too, if you wanted a longer arm on it as well. The actual stove itself, let's see if we can pull that off. And basically, that's what it looks like. So you'd screw your propane in on this end. You'd set the burners right here. And then these things right here are the little arms that would be the legs to keep it, or to support whatever you're cooking on top. So, got that. And all of this, along with, is going to go up in this little side pouch up here along the top. So you got the roll down here, coming up to the top of the pack. It's going to go right in here. Okay, so the next piece of equipment here is this Katadyn Be-Free 1 liter collapsible water bottle. But the most important part here is that it comes with the filter. So this is a filter here. just in case, because most of the places on the corridor trails in the Grand Canyon, on the main trails, there are a couple of places to fill up water, and so you don't have to worry about that too much. But sometimes they do, a pipe breaks or something like that, and there may not be water at certain stations, and depending on the time of year. Since I'm going in during more of the rainy season and stuff like that, there should be plenty of water, but if there is not, then I might have to get water out of the Colorado River, or I might have to find like a puddle or something like that, in which case I will need to filter the water so that it's safe to drink. I'm also going to be bringing some like chlorine dioxide tablets as well to purify things out because this will take out certain things, but it won't take out like viruses and certain types of bacteria. So this will filter out larger protozoa and, larger contaminants, and then the chemical treatment will kill the other microscopic stuff that you can't see. So the opposite little sleeve here, so I had my spoon, some knives and stuff like this on this side. I've got a magnifying glass here, my compass, put that there, and then I'll also keep my little shovel here, because if you leave waste, you have to bury it. Apparently also it's important, not only because, you don't want to come across human waste. I'm also going to have toilet paper stashed in here somewhere, but that's not important that I show you where I do that. But, in the desert, stuff doesn't break down as quickly as it does in other places. So just because it's so dry, and so that could stay around for a long time. So you have to, there's certain regulations, you have to go in, a certain distance from the trail and, do your business. Obviously, you don't want people watching you either, so that's another good reason to go a distance from the trail and then bury whatever, you got to do there. All right, so we're getting here down on the final stretch of the video. Almost got this whole thing packed up. These right here are phone like external battery packs, so I can charge these up, and then when I'm out for a couple days in the canyon, I can't charge up my phone or my electronics, I can plug them into these, and that will charge them up and keep them my batteries full while I'm out there, so I can take pictures, take videos like this, and stay. Like, I probably won't be able to call out. I'm actually going to be getting a satellite phone as well, because my wife demanded that I have one so that I'd be safe, just in case I'm in areas where I'm out of cell phone reception. This right here is special kind of sunglasses. These ones actually fit over prescription eyewear. I actually wear glasses, and so I haven't worn contacts in a long time, so I don't have any contacts that are my prescription at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I bought a set of sunglasses that will fit over the top of my regular glasses, and they're actually very comfortable, and they fit very well. So excited to use those. I usually don't even wear sunglasses when I'm out and stuff, but if I'm going to be out in the desert for, 2 days straight out in the elements and stuff, it's probably something that I'm going to want to have to keep from overstraining my eyes. So as you can see here, I put my water bottles in the side pockets here. I'm also going to try to put, see if I can do this one-handed, try to put in the tent poles into that side pouch as well. All right, so I just couldn't do that with one hand. So this is basically how it looks. I got the strap to tie it down. Got another strap here as well that I didn't notice at first. So extra security, putting that over the top like that, and you can strap that in. So all the way from here, got the bottles, got all this kind of stuff. Now when I have those bottles full, it's gonna add a couple more pounds. Adding the cans of tuna, can opener and stuff is gonna add a little bit more. So I'm gonna be traveling a little bit heavier than hikers, but that's fine. It'll be a extra workout and stuff, and then a learning experience as well. So I will know, you know, what to do, what not to do, how strenuous is it actually when you're doing this. Because, I mean, some people, they'll run from the one rim to the other and then run back, and it's about 50 miles and stuff. So I figure I should be okay walking with a little extra weight on my back and everything. Test my fitness in a different way anyway. So I haven't had much time to train specifically for this hike. Just been too busy with the actual business. I'm just fortunate that I have a chance to get away and actually do this, and then it's going to be nose to the grindstone again. Got some exciting stuff coming up in the business, some big plans and everything, and I'm going to be working on those projects. But I did get the opportunity to do this hike, and so I wanted to go take advantage of it, cross that off the bucket list before I get back into some more intensive work. Okay, so lastly I have a emergency rain poncho. I'm thinking about actually getting a regular rain poncho as well, given that it is going to be the monsoon season. Even though rain out there is going to be nothing compared to Eau Claire, Wisconsin. So this right here is just the eyeglass cleaner. I haven't decided if I'm going to bring it or not. Probably might be a good idea just in case, just to keep the glasses clean. And then as an emergency sort of thing as well, I've got, I just wrote down some phone numbers on a piece of note paper, and then that way, if something happens to my phone or whatever, and that I can't operate it, I can call, you know, relatives, family, and stuff like that, to get help as well, from like a payphone or something like that, or using somebody else's cell phone. So just something I thought of last minute there. If you flip back the hood right here, this is the hood on the top of the pack. If you flip it back, you also have another compartment in here. Right now I have that emergency poncho and the phone numbers and stuff in there. But when I do the actual hike, that's where I'm going to put my comb, my toothbrush, toothpaste, that kind of stuff, and everything like that. So that about covers it. So I'm going to be documenting the rest of the trip. We'll have to probably maybe tomorrow go out and test out this out on the road, maybe add a little extra weight or something to be kind of like the food. And instead of going for my run, which I normally do on the weekends, I will be going out and doing a ruck hike. Maybe go out for an hour just to test it out, so I can kind of get the adjustments right. So when I'm doing the actual hike, which might be, you know, they say anywhere 5 to 7 hours, which seems like a long time to be hiking 14 miles, but you know, that could be definitely true. So you want to make sure if you're out there hiking a long period of time that you are prepared and you don't get blindsided by any unexpected events. All right, guys, so here we go. Here's the backpack. I'll probably need to make a few adjustments. The one thing I left out is in this little side pouch, probably put some sunscreen, chapstick, that kind of stuff. I actually didn't, you know, that was something that kind of, I wasn't actually thinking of that much. But, you know, when you're out in a very dry climate, chapstick is probably going to be a godsend when you're out there. So, you got that. Got all these little, you know, things that can zip up and everything. It's been a couple years since I've used the pack, so I'm going to have to, again, adjust it appropriately. Some things to keep in mind is that you do kind of want to have the pack, instead of resting on like your shoulders carrying most of the weight, you want to have it loosened up enough so that most of that weight can be carried actually by your hips. So it's sitting on your center of gravity, because otherwise your shoulder is going to tire out very fast. You're not going to be able to hike as far or as long. So there you go. All right, so time to go and test out the pack. About a week out from the actual hike here. To make it more realistic to what I'll be carrying, I filled up my 2-liter Nalgene water bottles, and then added 10 pounds through a 10-pound dumbbell into the top of the pack, on top of all the clothing, the tent poles, all that kind of stuff. And this will compensate for the fact that I haven't filled up my hydration pack and I don't have any of my food in the pack as well. So that should be more than enough weight to kind of give me an idea of how it's going to feel when I'm on the road. All right, so here's the setup. I've got the water bottles on the side here, both of them filled up. And then got my dumbbell, threw it in the top here, and got the pack all ready to go. So some things that are good to keep in mind when you're wearing your backpack is that you want to have most of the weight distributed into the hip belt here or around your hips. Your center of gravity, your center of mass in your pelvis and everything is going to carry that load a lot better than fatiguing your upper back and your traps by carrying a lot of load in the straps here. So I don't have it perfectly adjusted, but hopefully it shouldn't be too bad. I'm going to have to experiment a little bit as well and figure out, how to get it exactly how I want it. But for the time being, this should be okay. And basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to go out for a half hour, set the timer for a half hour and just walk for half an hour. And then when the timer goes off, just turn around and come back. And an hour worth of walking should be enough to kind of at least give me a good feel for whether or not the pack is sitting right or not. All right, so I just finished the 1 hour walk. And what I discovered is that having a little bit of that strain on your body actually clears your mind, makes it more sharp, which is kind of a fun aspect of that. What I did not like about the experience, and something that I'm going to have to work on, is probably shortening the frame for the pack as much as possible, because the weight wasn't evenly distributed between the hips and the shoulders, and so my traps and my upper back were fatiguing a little bit too quickly because there wasn't enough weight going into the hips. So if I'm not able to shorten the frame for the pack, I'm probably going to see if I can add kind of a little bit of a padding or something in between my upper back and the pad. In that way it'll kind of change the angle a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't shift the weight too far back either, because you don't want to be have the pack pulling you backwards either. But it might make it so that the weight goes more into the hips as opposed to hanging from the shoulders. So I'm going to try that out. Otherwise, it's pretty good. When I was doing a little bit of the research for this, it was like, 5 to 7 hours to do 14 miles. And I was like, well, that seems a bit excessive, but I could see that because I only went like 3 or 4 miles. It took me about an hour to do that. And so I guess it is pretty feasible that could take, 5 hours or so to do that. And that's if you're hiking at a steady pace and you're not taking any breaks. So maybe I should plan on about 7 hours for that. So that is why you go out and you test what you do. So we'll see you later on for the actual trip. I might make some updates though in between then if I think they're pertinent and might be helpful to anybody else planning a rim to rim hike.